Everybody's heard about Russia, Russia, Russia. What they're missing is Chinese collusion with the Democrats. During the impeachment process, the coronavirus was spreading throughout the world. China was covering it up. Ask yourself why. The real reason they were covering up the coronavirus at the time was they were conspiring with the Democratic Party to get rid of Donald Trump. And the belief that the American people would not want to change presidents during a global pandemic was an influencer on their decision to covering up. And the Democrats were conspiring with the Chinese to cover up the coronavirus in order to help remove Donald Trump. The impeachment failed, and now we have hundreds of thousands of dead people around the world, more than 130,000 dead Americans, because the Chinese and the Democrats conspired to cover up the coronavirus. I think this is something that a special prosecutor needs to be appointed to investigate. When did Nancy Pelosi know the Chinese were covering up? And why were the Chinese covering up the corona pandemic during the impeachment process? Because when you look at the timeline, that is exactly what was going on. The World Health Organization was covering up during the impeachment process. The Chinese government was covering up, and the American Democratic media establishment was covering it up. They were allowing it to spread because they did not believe that the pandemic would help them remove Donald Trump during the impeachment process. In addition, how can you impeach a president for calling for an investigation of bribery into his political opponent when every Democrat was calling for multiple investigations into Donald Trump? It's a gigantic double standard. And the majority of the Russia conspiracy was funded by China. When you look at CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, somebody was buying those ads for the Russia collusion narrative. The majority of those ad buys were from Chinese corporations or corporations that manufacture in China. So China had a massive influence on what ads were bought. And if you control the ads, you control the story. So if you did a Russia story or Trump bad, China will buy that ad. Why? Because China did not like Donald Trump's trade position. They want to get rid of Donald Trump so they can get back to taking American manufacturing jobs. They want China to have a competitive tax advantage. Trump gave America a 21% corporate tax rate. Prior to Trump, America had a 35% corporate tax rate. China, Mexico, and Canada have a 25% corporate tax rate. Because of Donald Trump, America has a competitive advantage on taxes over China, and America has a much tougher trade position with China, costing them hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars. That's why the Chinese conspired to cover up the COVID-19 in order to help remove Donald Trump. That's why you see the Chinese sponsor Russia, Trump's failing on COVID-19. More importantly, the Chinese communists are trying to foment a race war in America to benefit the Chinese Communist government. A race war in the United States would undermine China or undermine the United States to the benefit of China. So when you look at every time a black man is killed by a cop, it gets coverage up the yin-yang. When a white man is killed by a cop, it never gets covered. That is to the benefit of the Chinese Communist Party to create racial strife inside of the United States. So the Democrats and the media conspired with the Chinese to cover up the COVID-19 outbreak in order to positively affect the impeachment process in hopes of removing Donald Trump, which failed. They framed him for Russia. The Chinese framed Trump for Russia. And what you're going to see is all this hate Trump is funded by the Chinese. So I'm calling for a special prosecutor to look into the conspiracy between the Chinese government and the Democratic Party to cover up the COVID-19 outbreak during the impeachment process. My name is Tim Anderson, and I am calling for a special prosecutor and the media to do a deep-seated investigation into correlation between the COVID-19 cover-up and the impeachment of Donald Trump. Thank you.